Hello, hello. This is Christina Barr, and you guys are watching Black Tea News. Hello, hello. Just FYI, as I was doing my countdown, there was some kind of glitch. I was like, "Oh no!" So that's why there was like a pause, and it was a little awkward because I was like trying to refresh it and stuff. And so, FYI, I think my computer is entirely too full. So hopefully, we will not have any more glitches. But hello, I hope you guys are doing just dandy. The Democrat Party is in disarray, and it's kind of hilarious, which we've been talking about past couple days. But I didn't realize, I guess, that the press secretary was on vacay or wasn't hadn't been doing any press conferences in a minute. So I guess the time finally came for them to ask questions about Biden, and someone, I mean, they're straight up asking if he's disabled and has dementia, just flat out asking her. So it was a brutal press conference. And well, let me just table that. Let me do my little intro and we'll just jump into it. But before we jump into that, I encourage you guys, of course, to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. Um, you guys, there's different things coming up, like there's different videos that I'm editing. You guys want to make sure you're subscribing, hitting notification bells, dropping your email online so you get different email newsletters and stuff. One video is about the abortion debate that happened between Joe and Biden, my full thoughts on that. And but the one I think people are really waiting for is one where I address like these 10 hoaxes with like different things like the Russia collusion hoax. I talk about the drink bleach hoax, the fine people hoax, the Trump mocking a disabled reporter hoax. And so I went ahead and talked about top 10 of them. There's more I could have gone through, but I didn't want to make it like, I don't know, some kind of a Chris Nolan film or something like that, or a Scorsese. So I didn't want to be too long. So that'll be up soon. So make sure that you guys are just looking out for that. I'll, alert you when I drop those. You guys can also check out different merch on the website, like Make Crack Whack Again, Trump 2024. We got black tea mugs. We got the 4th of July that's going to be tomorrow. And so we got this cool, The Constitution is a Glorious Liberty document with Frederick Douglass. That's from his speech, What to the Slave is the 4th of July, which is a great speech that is pro-America. It's a stirring call to moral action, but it's not. Some people have used that speech to try to twist it to make it seem like Black people shouldn't celebrate the 4th of July, and that's just not the spirit of the speech. So if you haven't read it, I encourage you guys to actually look at it. But if you guys do like what I do here, you guys can leave a donation on the website because it does cost a stream and run the site, all that stuff. You guys can support. I appreciate it. If you're watching on Facebook, you guys can send stars. If you're watching on YouTube, you guys can send super chats. So before I get to all the the devastation of the press conference, I was out. I was running some errands and stuff, driving around, and my siblings called me because Candace Owens was trending, and they told me about some stuff that I had seen last night, that was making some waves with Candace Owens talking about she's not a flat earther, but she's not a round earther, and she um, went into a rant, I guess, about how people put too much stock in science and stuff and worship it a bit, and people are like into scientism. And so there's a clip going around, and then there was another clip, or people were talking about her doing a video on Hitler, and the picture is Voldemort with like a mustache, and it's like he who will not be named, which people talk about Hitler, say his name all the time. So I haven't watched them in entirely. So I'm gonna table it, and I'm not gonna probably I'll watch the segments before I comment. I do not plan to do another in-depth hour-long Candace Owens video. That's not my intention. I don't want to be the official Candace debunk page, and I would hope that things that are really, really awful that she might say that people with bigger platforms might point it out so we'll get some more views and stuff. But I do think it's interesting some of the stuff that people are disturbed by since I did my video that I posted maybe about 2 weeks ago, and some people were angry, and some people decided to just unsubscribe before they even watched my video. But there's definitely more I could have talked about. But some of the stuff coming out though, that seems to be appealing to like Nick Fuentes type people. Uh, it's Daily Wire, I guess, dropped her at a very good moment, and they're probably like, we. I don't know if they feel like they dodged a bullet because they definitely didn't. They definitely got grazed and shot in some places. But I don't know. There's some people who are kind of laughing about all this. Look from the outside looking in, are like, Candace has said some stuff that was problematic throughout her career. And it's just funny that now people are flipping out about it. And I do think that there were some other things that I addressed with you guys at the time when it came out that I would have been embarrassed if I was Daily Wire with her saying that stuff on my platform. Like, the whole like Kim Kardashian being upset that she made a advertisement with someone in a wheelchair, and she did a big rant about how not everything is supposed to be for you when that particular Skims or underwear was for them. And so I made a video about it at the time, and so she upset a lot of folks, and she didn't have a good reaction to people who were reacting to her. But that's just like an example. She it's funny because people will say like, oh, if I say something that's conservative, which I do all the time because I'm conservative online, folks will be like, oh, you're just a little Candace Owens. And I'm like, well, I'm bigger than her. I don't know how I would be the smaller Candace Owens. She's quite skinny and I'm quite not. So that was always interesting to me. But folks are vastly different in their approaches, in how they word things, how they think, maybe perhaps where they would be rooted in their morality, and et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, people just are different. So anyway, if anyone's curious about the things that have been trending for the things that she said, I'm not gonna really comment much more until I see the whole segment. The clips I could comment on, sure, but I don't want to commit you know the sin of taking someone out of context, even if it's her. So yeah, I will look at it more in depth, and I might do a talk about it tomorrow, but I don't plan on making another hour-long video for anyone. Um who's wondering. So I just wanted to get that out the way. Someone said that they watched her last night and she was bonkers. I'm from stuff that's going around, I'm sure there was some controversial things. I'm just gonna wait a little bit more until I have more info. Um, Someone said if you try to comment or dialogue on her page, she removes the comment. Um, Maybe that could be a thing, but I know sometimes people say that I remove comments, or YouTube is removing comments. Maybe YouTube does, I don't know. But I don't know, so sometimes it's just really glitchy and I don't know why it's like that. And sometimes like it'll say there's 9 comments, only 4 will pop up, and I'll have to, and this is what I see, they'll only show me 4 comments on my page, and I'll have to like refresh it, or hit like newest or all comments. And it is on Facebook too, and then they'll show me all the comments. So but yeah, people could be deleting stuff, but I don't delete. And then sometimes people might hide you from their profile. I've only blocked, or I don't think you can block. I think it's just hide people from your profile. I don't know why that's more like PC, if that's how they decided to reframe it, but usually I will only do that if someone is pretty vulgar. Um if not just to me, but to maybe someone else in the comments, really disrespectful, or yeah, that's pretty much it. If people kind of cross a line as well, I don't like when people pretend like like if I make like a super long post about abortion and go through people's comments and really try to engage in a debate, and people like accuse me of being insincere or something, that drives me up a wall, because I'm like, why would I engage like this if I was so if people start kind of calling me a liar or something, I'm like, okay, you don't need to be here if you don't think I'm trying my best to be truthful. Like, it's one thing to be wrong, but you don't. So it's rare. I think I've maybe like hidden like 3 4 people on my YouTube. So I let people engage and say mostly whatever with each other, and I'll go back and forth with folks. So anyway, I don't know if she's deleting stuff or not. I just want to play devil's advocate with the comment. Perhaps you're right, perhaps you're not, but I will not say more until I actually watch more of it. So it might be an interesting show tomorrow. Okay. So anyway, let's talk about Joe Biden and the media. So the funny thing about this whole debate collapse and everyone freaking out about all this stuff that I find extremely hilarious is that I don't personally think it was that bad. I mean, it was bad. Don't get me wrong, but and there was always a chance that he came out and they drugged him and he was kind of fine. It was a little surprising to the voice, you know. Um oh, someone mentioned, am I having a show tomorrow because it's 4th of July? I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. Mm. I'm then I don't know, because there might be some kind of event that I need to go to, or that I was kind of thinking about. Maybe I didn't think about it being the holiday. Maybe not. Well, Friday would be an interesting show. If I change my mind, I'll let you guys know. But thank you, Katrina, for bringing that up. I didn't think about it being 4th of July. Um. Anyway, Joe Biden did a really bad job, and there's a chance that maybe he could have did better with the drugs or whatever we were expecting to hop him up on. I didn't expect his voice would sound so bad. I didn't expect maybe him to be looking like, the whole time. That was really bad. A very bad look. Those split screens with him and Trump jit him in, I think, more than probably what he actually said. Because there are moments, and maybe a lot of moments, especially when you got toward like the back half of the debate, where things were coherent. There was times when he said things that were obviously not making sense, like his whole, like, a lot of his abortion answer, for example, like a lot of it was lies. But then they got to that, like, let me bring this back to rapists coming across the border who I'm letting in. That was remarkable. That was really remarkable and a big mistake. But the craziest thing in that segment was when he suggested, that women need abortions because they'll be raped by their sisters. But you know what? In the Biden administration, in the Biden world, men could say that they're women, and so I guess that's maybe in their world that could be true, that your sister could impregnate you. I don't know. But I guess it wasn't that bad to me, because I'm like, how could it be worse than what we've already seen? Like, Robert Hur said that, oh gosh, he had these classified documents. He knowingly withheld the classified documents. He seemed to have shared them with his ghostwriter. So that's a problem. But we're not going to prosecute him because the jury would sympathize with this doddering old fool and struggling with his memory. So they probably would not convict him because there has to be some intent here, and they just probably wouldn't put those pieces together because he's just so bad. And I'm paraphrasing, or summarizing rather. I think summarizing is better than kind of using the term paraphrasing. But that's the gist of it, right? And so the Democrats and the media, they were so angry that he said that, but we're all like, I wasn't surprised. Were you surprised if you're in the know that that was like the kind of the answer? Now you might be saying, well, if that's the answer for that, then he probably shouldn't be leading the country if he's not even competent enough to stand trial. But these are conversations we've been having, right? So I wasn't surprised about Joe Biden's debate performance because people have known for a while that he wasn't all there. We've seen clips of Joe Biden stumbling on his words and just stringing things together so much that he creates nonsensical words that would never exist ever. And him reading teleprompters where he's reading the cues of the teleprompters, like pause, like so forcefully. Like I nailed it. I pronounced it correctly. So I wasn't surprised when I watched the debate, nor was it like abnormal to me, I guess. Not at all. Like, but we're in the know. We've seen this stuff, right? We've seen him fall down the stairs and he's wearing special shoes, him fall off his bike, him napping on beaches, taking mini vacations, them calling lots of lids. Lids are when they alert the press that he's not doing anything else today. So you guys can go on home or whatever, because we don't need you here following us anymore. They've called a lot of lids. They called a lot of lids when he was doing his 2020 campaign. I thought there was something wrong. I don't know how long you guys have been with me. So some people said this first time. Someone came in and said this is the first time I'm watching you live. So I know some of you are kind of new. But in 2020, when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, and they had a lid, and they didn't like immediately go out and like hit the campaign trail hard, and because this was do or die. That was a big moment for them where they could get the Democrats rallying in their favor and all this stuff. And Biden didn't come out like immediately make some kind of grandiose speech when they're like, well, we're going to call a lid. I'm like, something's wrong with this man. If you recall, that was my reaction. I'm like, something's got to be wrong, because why would you just be like, I got a nap today? That was very strange to me. And this is something we're talking about was happening during the campaign. We were speculating that something was wrong. Right? Him pulling down his mask, coughing into his hand, then pulling up his mask. Like just nonsensical things. Like, oh yeah, you care about COVID. Just not there altogether. I'm not surprised. But the media and the Democrats are like, oh my gosh, we didn't know. So now they have to come hard at the press secretary, come hard at the White House, and all these people have to pretend like they're surprised because Biden made them look stupid. But I want to encourage you guys to not give the media any sympathy and not give them any credibility, because they knew. Let me see if I still have that. I had a montage I was going to show you guys the other day, but a lot of people were showing the montage, so I didn't end up showing it. But there was a montage of what they were saying about Biden in the past, like Morning Joe and other folks. And they're like, he's the best he's ever been, blah, blah, blah. And it was just lie after lie after lie. That just looks so silly now. I don't know if I dagnammit. I don't think I have it loaded up and ready to go. But it was like a super cut of just all these people saying like Morning Joe and like he's the best he's ever been. If you don't believe that, you're a liar. And now they're like, oh my gosh, we might have to get rid of him. Like, this is really concerning. Donors are talking about it. But you know what? There's all these reports and all these leaks that this has been going on for a while. There's reports about our European allies have voiced concerns for more than a year about Joe Biden and his health and his mind. But if you noticed it, it was cheap fakes, misinformation, disinformation, AI, whatever. Obama didn't help Joe Biden off the stage. That's crazy. Look at this cut video we made. Biden's great. Look at this 14-second video that we spliced 200 times. He's great. Come on. So again, I wasn't surprised. And I'm watching it and I'm like, gosh, this looks really bad. He looked terrible. Don't get me wrong. But some of his answers were coherent. There are moments that were really bad. And the moments are the things that really blow up. But to me, it was just like, this is what y'all been dealing with all the time. And of course, he's getting progressively worse. And that's what happens with men his age who are obviously going through different mental declines. But I'm like, y'all go around every day pretending like he's well enough to be the president of the United States. And now you want to back out of him running against Trump because you're scared that it might cost you the election? Where was this energy last year? Where was this energy last year? Because you knew about it. Of course, it wasn't as bad as it is now because the decline continues, but there were signs that you ignored. So, where was this energy then? You don't get to back out. I don't want them to back. Like, believe me, he really shouldn't be president. I definitely don't want Kamala Harris to be president, though. They've put us in a very bad situation. And you know what? It's probably been bad for all 4 years. It's probably been bad the whole entire time. Again, I thought it was strange, all the lids they had in 2020, including at really crucial times. So now the donors are panicking and in different governors, and there's all these leaks from the White House, which Ben Shapiro's like, it's probably Kamala leaking a lot of stuff. And it is probably hurting a lot of her folks because she probably wants a job and they're not too fond of each other. And she's really difficult. So yeah, there's a lot of leaks. People saying, I mentioned the other day, there's leaks that his aides saying that from 10 to 4, he's really fine. But then the New York Times reported that they have him taking naps in the middle of the day, or at least they did like during the debates prep and stuff. So I'm like, how long is this man functioning if he's only functional 10 to 4 and the man needs naps? And naps are fine. A good nap is great. Actually, I don't really nap unless I have like a really bad sinus headache or something. And then I'm like, I need to go to sleep so this thing will go away. But Joe Biden can only function from like 10 to 4 and needs a nap sometime between then in the afternoon. And Donald Trump operates off of 4 hours of sleep. At least that's the last I heard of him. His sleep methods is that he only sleeps 4 hours. He could probably stand a couple more. That's not good for you. But last I heard about him talking about his sleep methods, he sleeps about 4 hours a night and that's it. And Joe Biden is only operational for a small shift, for like a part-time shift, and has a nap. But they've known all this. They've known all this. So if they're trying to duck out and replace him with Whitmer, replace him with Newsom, or even Kamala, who they shouldn't, if he's not good enough to run, that he needs to step aside as the president. Period. So if they want to open Pandora's box there, they got to just open it all the way. But they had their chance to have a primary. DNC wouldn't entertain it. Everybody got behind Joe. No one wanted to knife him. Even Newsom was like, no, Joe Biden's running. And even if he wasn't, Kamala Harris is the heir apparent. Okay, keep that energy. You don't get to back out now because everybody saw the emperor had no clothes. Or everyone is admitting now that he has no clothes. whatever rules are on the ballot that should disqualify them or make him the permanent candidate, Republicans should not budge an inch. They should insist on the law, and they should not allow Democrats to be, even in this dire situation, they should say, this is the crap you pooped out, and now you got to eat it. That is what we should make them eat their crap. Kennedy didn't want to run as an independent. He wanted to run as a Democrat. They would not have him. They would not let him. So he ran independent. And he got his name up, got all the signatures that he needed to go on state to state to state to state. There were people who tried to stay in the race and run, and obviously not successfully, to put up any sort of shot. But these people knew. So again, the media, who's now like, oh my gosh, they knew. They just didn't want to report it. So now they're trying to build up their credibility. Don't let them. Don't forgive them. And the same media who lied to you about this, they lied to you about COVID. They lied to you about Hunter's laptop. They lied to you about Russia collusion. To those of you out there, if there's anyone watching who might be on the left, who stumbled across this video, and you hate Donald Trump with all your heart, all your guts, everything, every bit of your soul hates this man because of what is presented to you on the TV all the time, ask yourself, if the media has been lying so blatantly about so many things, is it possible that your hatred for Donald Trump is also manufactured? Now, I'm not saying that people don't have legitimate reasons for not liking the man. I could name more legitimate reasons to not like Donald Trump than the average person who doesn't actually like Donald Trump. You ever see these men on the street videos like, who you voting for? Biden. Why? I don't like Trump. Why? They don't know. They don't know. They do not know. And they don't have good arguments for why he shouldn't beat Biden. You have Kamala Harris. He's going to get rid of abortion. That's not even true. I wish it were true. I wish it were. I wish it were. I wish it were, but it's not. They just have to lie. They have to lie about what he says. They have to misconstrue things that he says, things that are obviously jokes. Do you guys remember this? Do you guys remember back in 2016 or 15 or whatever? And Hillary Clinton, of course, was anti-gun. And Donald Trump said something like, oh, if you're not cool with guns, why don't you disarm your Secret Service? Do you guys remember that? And then all of a sudden the narrative became, Donald Trump wants Hillary Clinton dead. And it was so silly. And I remember there were some memes mocking it and whatever, but it was a thing. And it was very interesting to watch because they proved his point. Because if saying that the Secret Service should disarm somehow makes it less dangerous for Hillary Clinton, then doesn't it make it less more dangerous for the citizens to disarm themselves? Isn't it a good thing if citizens can protect themselves from criminals and other folks who would mean them harm? Why is it that the elite only should have the guns? That's what doesn't make any sense. But there were stories like all over the place like that. Someone recently said, like I mentioned, I'm doing like a hoax video. I see this. Let me acknowledge this super chat really quick before I move on. Thank you so much, RC. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much for the super chat. I mentioned that I was making a video and I did record. I just haven't posted it yet. Well, I still need to edit some of it and stuff, but dealing with a bunch of Trump hoaxes that the media, like in the Democrats stuff, made. And one of them was the hoax about Donald Trump mocking a disabled reporter. And someone who follows me and who's followed me for a while, but they used to be on the left. I mentioned that that was one of the hoaxes I was going to be dealing with. And he's like, that was a hoax? I was like, yeah, that was a hoax. And it was a hoax because that reporter, and this was in ads everywhere, and they slowed it down with Trump like flopping his arms and made it really look like I, the guy. If you didn't know any context, I think if you saw just the commercials, that you would believe he was mocking someone with Down syndrome or something. I don't think you would know that he was mocking someone who was a Pulitzer Prize award-winning journalist. But he did have an arm that was like this, which doesn't correlate, or to like flopping your arms like this. That it doesn't make sense. But what happened was, and there's a well, I'll address that. Well, let me go ahead. I already saw it. Thank you for the super chat, Blue Hunter. Appreciate that. So Donald Trump was upset because he had said something about seeing people celebrating. He said thousands of people celebrating on 9/11. And I don't think his original words was Muslims were celebrating. I think it was just thousands of people. I think maybe that was an insinuation, but maybe that's what people read into it. But from the quote I read, that he didn't say Muslims were celebrating, like thousands of them were celebrating. He just saw people were celebrating. And so people were like, that's a lie. That's not true. Blah, blah, blah. So Trump found an article that referenced, that people were celebrating the towers falling and stuff. And it didn't say thousands in the article, but it did say that people were celebrating. So Trump was like, see, quoting it here, I was correct. And then I guess the guy was asked about it, and he was like, I don't remember what I wrote or something. I don't remember. He didn't think it said thousands, but he said, I don't remember. And so when Trump tells a story on stage, you can hear him saying in the clip that they played on ads, he was like, oh, I don't remember. And so people were saying that he was mocking a disabled person. So the guy is disabled correctly. Yes, it's true. But he wasn't mocking him for his disability. That's not what he was doing. The sort of gestures that he was doing with his hands, he's made them repeatedly. So it would kind of be like if a leftist attacks me because they don't like my views or something, and they're like, oh, this stupid conservative, blah, 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 gap tooth girl. I don't know. People like to talk about the gap tooth. I don't know why I I think the gap tooth is fine, but some people are so irked by it. And then if I said, oh, they're attacking Black women or a Black woman, well, they didn't attack me because specifically, was it because I was Black or a woman, but I happened to be a Black woman. And I don't even think that's the best analogy, because I think a lot of times people do attack Black conservatives because they don't like the news these opinions coming from a Black person. But anyway, I hope you catch my drift. He wasn't attacking those particular attributes. He just happened to have them. So I don't think I've seen him make those kind of gestures in a while. But Trump is a showman, and when he goes on a rant, he sometimes when he mocks Joe Biden or imitates him walking around and kind of stumbling, it's hilarious. He's very funny. But he ended up, I guess, mocking the wrong person for reasons that he thought were pretty valid, and it turned into one of the biggest scandals in 2016 while he was running. But that was something else that the media lied about. So again, you can't trust the media. Now, with that being said, let's actually look at some of the stuff that the media was asking the other day. So there's a lot. I'm waiting for it to load because the page went kind of wonky when my computer froze earlier. There's so many questions from this press conference, because I was thinking originally that I was probably going to just play like all of them for you guys. I was watching these while I was going for my morning walk. But there were so many. We can't go through them all. We cannot go through them. I guess we could, but I mean, some of these questions are repetitive and the answers are certainly repetitive, but it just is indicative of how poorly things are going for the Biden White House. But again, a lot of this the media who are asking these questions, they knew something was wrong. You can't be around in this job and see all these things and not know something was wrong. I'm not as close as they are in the press poll, but I knew something was wrong. It's not normal behavior. And of course, he's freaking old, really old. And everyone has had some kind of loved one that they've watched and they're not the same as they used to be, and they're declining, and you can see different signs, and they're messing up words, or they're remembering things, you know. They can't quite speak like they used to, you know, they're just kind of slow. Their balance isn't what it used to be. And Joe Biden, I don't think he's like totally senile like some folks are saying, but it's not up to what it should be, especially because it makes the US look really bad and frail, and it's not good for us. But they knew this, the Democrats knew this, and now they're in a really bad spot. They're in a really bad spot. It shouldn't even be close. It shouldn't be close at all. But Trump is, like, according to Nate Silver, even before the debate, he had predicted that it wasn't a toss-up. And as far as the Electoral College goes, Trump has like a 66%, 65%, 65 point something percent chance of winning the election. And Joe Biden, I think his chance of winning the popular vote at that time was 51%. So even that isn't great odds for him either, Joe Biden. So anyway, here's the first exchange we shall watch.
A lot already in this briefing. I just don't have anything else to add. Yeah, Andrew.
Thank you, Karine. Two questions.
Sure.
You repeatedly refer to the president's outing after the debate at the watch party, his remarks the next day in North Carolina, his appearances at fundraisers, his appearances this morning at the DC Emergency Operations Center. All of those appearances were scripted events where he spoke from the most spoke from.
I know,
but
you said all, but not all.
Okay, well, if you're correcting me, they're most. They're scripted, spoken from a teleprompter. Mm-hmm. How are Americans supposed to get the sense that the president is fully engaged and capable and thinking off the cuff when he's reading from prepared remarks so often? And why can't he just come down here? The briefing room's 30 seconds away. Why can't he come down here and assure us and the American people that he's okay? And I have a follow-up.
Okay. First of all, it wasn't all. It was, you know, when he was speaking in front of the audience, but it wasn't all. When you think about the tarmac, when you think about engaging at the Waffle House, when you think about engaging at the watch party and doing a very long rope line, and when he was at the tarmac, it was in the middle of the night, literally 2:00 at night. We all wanted to go to bed, but the president was certainly very focused and zeroed in on the American people who were out there, cheering him on and wanting to see him and take selfies and get a hug from this president. That's what you saw. And I don't know if you missed this, but I also shared that he has done more than 40 interviews this year alone. And we're going to continue that. He's going to do an interview with ABC, George Stephanopoulos, this week. Those were unscripted. He's done more than 500 gaggles. Those are unscripted. And we want to continue to do that. We do. We want to continue to do that. There's going to be a press conference next week, a NATO big boy press conference, as Justin has reminded us, next week. And so that's going to be important as well.
And I have a follow-up.
Sure.
One of my colleagues behind me shouted a similar question to what I'm going to be asking you. But I think
I don't remember the question.
Given what happened on Thursday, given the reporting in the New York Times and other outlets about the president's more frequent lapses, losing his train of thought, all of us saw what happened on Thursday, where he simply could not form coherent answers to many or some, if you will, of the questions. And appear to lapse into nonsensical answers at the end. We beat Medicare, for instance. I'm going to ask something delicate, and you may not like it. The president may not like to hear it if he's watching, but I think the American people need to get a yes or no answer on this. Does President Biden, at 81 years old, have Alzheimer's, any form of dementia, or degenerative illness that cause these sorts of lapses? And it's a yes or no question. And if you don't know, why don't you, as one of his senior staff members, know?
I have an answer for you. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
It's a no. And I hope you're asking the other guy the same exact question. Okay, go ahead.
So they're flat out asking now if he has dementia. Flat out asking. Now, different people, like maybe Peter Doocy, would be bold enough to ask questions like, why do you guys treat the president like a baby? Yeah, we don't treat him like a baby. You totally do. But folks didn't want to invoke the wrath of the White House and lose particular access and so on. So they haven't been this bold. But now they have to, because now they look stupid. Because the American people got a peek at Biden. Not just political junkies or whatever that see the stuff all the time, but everyday Americans got to see how bad it was. And it wasn't, I guess it just wasn't that he was bad. It's the comparison, the side by side that Trump, I think Ben Shapiro said he was preserved in amber. Him v. Biden, that they're both upper age men, probably, I would say both above the age that we would normally probably want our president to be. But it is what it is. They're the two candidates. But one of them is younger. Trump is younger than Biden. And he seems to be more with it, sharper, better off the cuff. And he's winning. He won the debate. So Trump is funny and engaging, and he didn't take Biden's bait. I think they really wanted Trump to go too hard. And I don't know, maybe they thought he would just get really angry and be talking into the mic and looking like a crazy person because no one would be able to really understand him. But he, mostly stuck to the rules that the Biden team laid out, which Trump Jr., Donnie Jr. was like, oh, I actually like this format. It makes my dad more disciplined. So that backfired on the Biden campaign. But I think one reason why Biden was lying and saying so many sort of vicious things is because he wanted Trump to respond and revert back to that first debate that they had back in 2020 when Trump was like too aggressive and it didn't come off very well. And he lost that debate and his poll numbers just like start really going down from that time. So, that's why I think Biden was telling so many blatant lies and slanders against Trump. And which is funny because Biden is lying about, very fine people. He robbed the losers and suckers and all kinds of different stuff, that he's a felon. He brought up, the Stormy Daniels. He brought up E. Jean Carroll. And then when Trump was like, well, you called black people super predators, Joe Biden is like, he was so shocked and actually it was Hillary Clinton that said super predators. I don't think there's any video of like Joe Biden actually saying that. He has said other things though. But super predators is actually a Hillary Clinton thing. But Joe Biden didn't deny it. He just made that shocked face. So he should have at least denied that. but he didn't actually say the super predators line. But Trump did. Maybe he thinks there's a lot of people who think that he said that, but it wasn't Joe Biden. So I don't think Trump was purposely dishonest at that point. But Biden said all this crazy stuff that was just untrue. And then he all he could do was do the I'm appalled how, or I don't know if that was I'm appalled or I can't remember that I said that kind of look. But they asked him about are you going to do more unscripted things? They mentioned that she mentioned all these interviews that he had. I don't think even if that number is correct, I don't think that's a lot. The press gaggles is probably not a lot compared to like other folks. And then he'll have like when he's doing the interviews, he'll have like the picture of the different press people with their names and like the questions ahead of what they're supposed to ask. So you can say it's not scripted, but it seems like a bit of it is kind of scripted. And all these people have to like play along in some kind of way. But saying that he's going to do an interview with George Stephanopoulos, which won't be live, so we don't know how many cuts there will be or how many different angles they're going to do to make it look like, you know, make him look good or whatever. But George Stephanopoulos used to work for the Clintons. I'm not saying that he can't ask a good question or two and push back a bit, but George Stephanopoulos, you know, was when he was asked what he would ask them at a debate, all he wanted to know was, you know, Trump and 2020 questions and that election. So I don't know how much he's going to push on Biden. I'm sure he'll ask him questions about his performance and his health, but I don't know how hard he's going to push him. You know, he might go hard, but it's still not a live interview and it's still going to be cut. I assume they're not going to air probably everything, all the dead air and the silly stuff that Joe Biden will say. And as far as the NATO press conference, that won't be happening here with our media that wants to ask him tough questions. It's going to be happening, you know, overseas, I presume. So, but the funniest thing to me is her bringing up, well, he went to Waffle House, which she mentions a couple times in these different questions. So, let me move on, play another one.
You've said a couple of times now that the White House has provided thorough medical records for the president. The White House released a 6-page summary back in February. I don't think that was a full accounting necessarily. And Dr. O'Connor in that memo described the president as, quote, a healthy, active, robust 81-year-old male who remains fit to successfully execute the duties of the presidency. I think that is clearly not what the majority of Americans are seeing. And we have a new poll from CBS News that says 72% of registered voters say the president does not have the mental and cognitive health to serve as president. So are you saying that the majority of Americans are misguided and that they just need to trust Dr. O'Connor and take him at his word?
So a couple of things, and I want to say the president is feeling better, and you saw him last night, you saw him today, but he does indeed still have a cold. Look, I want to be very sensitive here, and I think it is important to be sensitive here. We understand how the American people are feeling. We get it. We do. And I do not want to take away from that. I'm not going to speak. I know that there was, you all did a poll, CNN did a poll. I'm not going to speak to every poll. I'm just not going to do that. And also I'm, constraints in doing that as we're heading into an election in November, as you know. What I will say is,
why she said it a few times. I'm constrained because election. What does that mean? You're still the press secretary of the United States. Like I know he's running for re-election, but at the same time, he is still also the president of the United States, and you're supposed to represent him as the voice of getting information from the White House, from his administration to the people. And we do expect is a strong word. Let me retract that. We do deserve honesty from you. I don't actually expect it from you, but I think the American people deserve it. So why can't you say more? And you're like careful, like, oh, because elections, can't speak to polling. What does that mean? The facts are the facts. These polls, they told you how the American people felt. You don't have to skirt around it because of the election. Like, I know you don't want to talk about it because he's running for re-election and he looks bad, but the truth is that he's still the president, and you have to deal with these perceptions because it impacts our place in the world right now. We're all talking about this. Don't you think other people overseas are talking about this? And sometimes people come in and watch my show and they're like, I'm from the UK, Canada, other places. So people do watch and are interested in American politics. But you know who else is interested in American politics. I'm pretty sure like Putin is interested in American politics and other folks who might not be too friendly. And they see, man, this doddering old fool, this frail dude is running this country, and they care about getting reelected. So they're going to be acting a particular sort of way. And we can probably get away with a lot if we really push this thing. And Trump, his message was, if I were president, because they would ask him like, what would you do? What would you do? What would you do? And he didn't give a lot of really concise answers to that, to be frank. But he did say, the truth of the matter is that if I were president, this stuff just wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened. They knew not to do this stuff with me. But they knew it was open season when Joe was president. So it wouldn't have happened if I was there. And I think people have a gut instinct that, he's probably right about that. Now, as to what happens and what he can do, I mean, he's like, I'm going to end it, like, even before I get sworn in. We'll see that. We'll see. Well, but something's got to be better than Joe, right? Something's got to be better than Joe. So her saying that she can't speak to stuff, that's weird to me. I know you don't want to, but you still have a day job. And you guys are all paid with tax dollars, are you not?
Is majority of Americans also support the work that the president has doing in a sense of his agenda and what he stands for, what he's been fighting for, whether it's reproductive rights, whether it's an economy that works for all. And that is something that the president is going to continue to do. And this is...
Let me pause that again. So when they start listing off of the reasons why Joe needs to win, or why Joe is still working for the American people, what always makes it in there is reproductive freedom. And that's a phrase that it's stupid, because if you're talking about abortion, if you're pregnant, reproduction has already happened. Like that's if reproduction hadn't happened, you wouldn't want the abortion. You wouldn't need the abortion. But someone's already been reproduced. So it's a really dumb phrase, but that's their phrase. We know what they mean. They mean abortion. And there's so many things going on in the world. And the fact that that is such a priority to the Biden administration, or to Democrats in general, is really telling. It's really interesting. Someone had kind of made that remark on a video I posted on TikTok, and they're just like, why is this a thing that they're always talking about? I'm like, because they can't provide good solutions for folks, and all they have is kill your kids. That's all they have. You can't feed them, you can't clothe them, you can't house them, you can't educate them, you can't pay for their education. Certainly we don't have good answers for you. So but you know what, if you want to kill them, you have our number. Like, please donate to us, we'll make sure we can make that happen. That's their priority. And it's in my opinion, that I think is pretty backed up by just typical observing the world, is that it makes America weaker. It makes women weaker. It makes men weaker, to feel that we need that to be the solution, to have a escape hatch for life by paying with the blood of your children. But that's their priority. And if that's the main thing that's on your mind, she said that before she got to economy. And she noticed she didn't say border. It's never the border. It's never the border. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Why we have said, and I have said this multiple times from here, is that's why the president acknowledges. We get it. We get what Americans are feeling. That's why he's acknowledging he's not a young man. That's why he's acknowledging he's a little slower than he used to be in walking and not as smooth as speaking. We get that. But we also want to make sure that we point to the successes that he's had, his record, and we want to continue to build on his unprecedented record. And I'm not going to discount what the American people see or feel. What I can say is what we know from our side of things. We could speak to his record. And we could speak to what the president has been able to acknowledge. And I think that's important too. And that's basically acknowledging what Americans are seeing and feeling.
I think, there's more people ask about his health. Someone asked, like a follow up, like, okay, you guys say that he does these physicals, and he had a physical like in February that said he was fine. Have you guys not? Has he not seen a doctor since then? And you guys have released a little bit of information about that. Is there more information that's available that you guys could release to alleviate the fears of the American people? And she doesn't really have answers to that kind of stuff. But it just, there's just clip after clip of them just going in on her, and we don't have the time. And I don't think you guys probably want to listen to all this stuff. But I did retweet it. If you're gonna go on Twitter, someone had this meme of like, I don't want to play with you anymore. So there's a lot, but something I want to point out though, because she said, well, you know, he went to the people at the Waffle House. So that's like, and he stood in a selfie line at the tarmac or whatever, or wherever he did the selfie line. And I'm like, that doesn't prove that he's ready to go and he can have a competent conversation with a world power, with a world leader, because he did selfies with people who are going to vote for him. Or maybe people aren't even going to vote for him, but you see the president, you're like, oh, okay, let's get a selfie. You know? That doesn't prove anything. Going to Waffle House to have conversations and just small talk, that doesn't prove anything. But what I want to point out, you heard her say that he's recovering. He still has a cold, but he feels better. Guys, and I watched all those videos. I wish someone had asked the question, if Joe Biden was sick with a cold, why did he go to the Waffle House to contaminate all the black people? If he had a cold, and it's not so super far-fetched that he had a cold. He didn't sound, his voice was definitely weak, but that doesn't mean it was because of a cold. But if he had a cold, why did he go to the Waffle House to possibly get other people sick? And I understand the reason why. Because they wanted people to see him and know that he was still alive and capable. I get it politically. But just from a like humanist, common sense kind of perspective, people don't want to catch your cold that apparently eats your brain. It makes you think that sisters can impregnate you. Why did he go there if he was sick, ma'am? You're like, he wanted to be with the American people. It was 2 a.m. We wanted to go home, but he wanted to be. Stop it. Perhaps it's true he wanted to do more and maybe felt like he needed to do more. And apparently he told some people at a private event that he almost fell asleep during the debate. So I might have to go back and watch the debate and try to find the moment where he almost fell asleep. And he said something. Let me find the quote. Pretty remarkable. So he was at a private event, at a private fundraiser in Virginia, trying to explain what happened. He said, it says, POTUS admitted that he did not have a good debate. He said that he was he wasn't very smart for traveling around the world a couple times before the debate, which he was home for a while doing debate prep. So that's really not a good excuse. I decided to travel around the world a couple times shortly before the debate. I didn't listen to my staff, and then I almost fell asleep on stage. That's not good. That's not good. So if he almost fell asleep during a 90-minute debate with Trump, a lot of the videos that circulate around and people are speculating, did Joe Biden fall asleep? The answer is probably yes. Maybe the answer is no. It's likely yes. POTUS also apologized, saying that he was sorry for the performance, but stressed that it was critical to win the election. It's not an excuse, but an explanation, he said. He spoke for about 6 minutes, then wrapped, and the pool was escorted out. Almost fell asleep during the debate. and I just want I guess I don't know if I'm that invested that I want to go back and watch the whole thing to find the moment where he was maybe dozing off, and he could just be talking. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's pretty bad, bro. It's pretty bad. America's not in a good situation. And when you know what's crazy, they're like, it's a must win, it's a must win, it's a must win because Trump is gonna. He says he's gonna be a dictator. He says he's gonna enact vengeance, and he says he's gonna do this, and he's gonna jail his political opponents, and he's racist and Christian nationalism, and Nazis are fine people, and all that stuff. And they've made it so extreme and so divisive. What happens when he wins? It's likely that he will at this point. And if they put him in jail, his sentencing is, I think, is the 11th. If they put him in jail, it's over. Like, not over for him. I just think the fundraising would be insane. The people going to his favor, I think, would be insane. You'd have people volunteering to door knock and all sorts of things that people generally hate to do. There'd be enthusiasm for him before, and it's one thing for people to go and stand in the rain or whatever to go to these rallies for hours upon hours upon hours. When you can get people to actually do the hard stuff, like calling to make sure folks actually turn in their ballot, and collect data, that's how you win elections. Like Obama had people who would quit their well-paying jobs to help his campaign or volunteer for his campaign. He just, had so many people enamored with him. And, whoever really has a momentum with the people is going to really pull it out. People were not enthused about Hillary Clinton. And then I heard, people data that people did collect. They were, I guess they were so confident about stuff that they weren't even like entering data into their books that, so they didn't even know how far they really were behind. So the RNC had excellent data for Trump, but in 2016 anyway, from my understanding, hasn't been quite that good since then. But I don't know if they've been able to build it back better. But if they can get the enthusiasm, it will not be good for them if they jail that man, especially over the business falsification stuff. It will not be good. Even if they just do house arrest so he can't leave Mar-a-Lago, which, if he had to be bound to a place, it's probably not that bad. But if he's unable to even go to the RNC convention or do these rallies anymore, see the people, folks aren't going to forget about him. He has high name ID. He doesn't even need to do all the stuff that he's doing. But people will go and they will door knock. It'll probably even be better. It'll probably be better because people waiting in line to go to his rallies all these hours, and then they finally let them in, and then they have the pre-show where someone sings the national anthem, different local people say stuff, and then there's like an hour break until he gets there. And then if he's late, it's you have to wait even longer. So it's like an all-day event for people, even unless you have like VIP tickets or access to get in. But even if that's the case, it's still a half a day thing for you. And a lot of people who go to these rallies, especially like leading up to the election day, like very close to it, they should be knocking doors and making phone calls. So if they make that man go on house arrest, they will probably ensure that he's going to win the presidency. Because people will knock doors and they will make phone calls. They'll go to the virtual rallies that I'm sure that he will host. And the phone call rallies that I'm sure that he will do. But they'll do all the grunt work too. And they'll continue to give. And they'll give and they'll pay, and then they'll be able to pay more people to do the grunt work that folks don't normally want to do. So he's probably going to win, and they've backed themselves into a corner. But what's going to happen to the country when he does? Because they painted him as such a monster. They painted people who support him as such monsters when most people do it out of practicality. They're like, oh, I don't, just like they don't like Trump, so they're going to vote for Biden. We don't like Biden, we're going to vote for Trump. Or that's what people, where people's minds are. There's people who like legitimately love him. There's a lot of people who like love some things about him, certainly not everything, but they want someone on their team. We got somebody on our team. That's how it is. It's not that everybody's some kind of radical or Kamala Harris and Taraji P. Henson is like, oh, they ain't like us. It's not even like that. We're all Americans. We're all trying to do what's best for our families, hopefully what's best for our families. And some of us have maybe the wrong kind of view about what that is, but the division that the Democrats have put in America, it's just really disgusting. And it's insane to me and really annoying how much people pretend like it's just Trump or Trump's fault when they're willing to set the world on fire just so they can win. And we saw that in 2020. And hopefully nothing crazy will happen once Biden loses this election, which is the most likely thing to happen. So anyway, that's about it. I think we're gonna call it a quits on there. We're already over an hour now, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you guys again for the super chats and the stickers today. I appreciate it. You guys can go to blacktnews.com, check out different content, website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost to stream and run my site and all this stuff. So God bless you guys if you're willing to do that. And if you're watching this back later on YouTube, you guys can do super thanks. And you might still be able to send stickers, but I think it's super thanks that you can do. And on Facebook, you guys can still send stars. Please check out different merch that's available on the website. What shall I show? I got the black tea mug, got this My Money, My Business t-shirt, because a lot of people say stuff's not your business, but then they want your taxpayer dollars involved. So that doesn't make much sense. Of course, we got this Frederick Douglass t-shirt from his quote, what to the 4th of July is a slave, what to the slave is the 4th of July, I think is what it's called. But it's a great speech. If you've never listened to it before, make sure you guys go on the website that you guys are dropping in your emails. So you guys know what's up, and make sure that you are subscribed or follow. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure that you like and follow. I don't know if there's a notification thing on Facebook, but you guys know that I stream at 4 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. So, if there's times, sometimes we're a minute or two later. So, but that's usually what we're doing. And if I'm not streaming, I usually let you guys know. So, I guess I don't plan to be live tomorrow, but if I change my mind at the last minute because there's some juicy news, I'll let you guys know. Or I might release something that's pre-recorded. So maybe something will be up. God bless you guys, and I will see ya on at least Friday. God bless.